Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. Now, it's real time.
Our real-time interview this morning is Aleks Maslov from Edge Rods, Edge Oars, Edge Just Awesomeness. How about, wow, that's a t-shirt,
That's
man.
a mouthful.
Good
to see you.
Good to see you, man. Number one, thanks for coming in this time of year. I know that you're super busy. You got trade shows and sports shows all over the place. You're a world traveler. Edge is everywhere. Everyone just understand that. Yes, locally based, Northwest company. Arguably the world's best fishing rods. I mean, honestly, do some research. You're going to find out the same thing. All right here. But we slowed you down enough.
Yes.
And we've got a big show that's coming up. I know that the Portland show for us being locals is a big deal.
Yep.
As a national kind of thing, though, where does that kind of rate for what it is that you do? I mean, you're all over the place.
In the top 10 for sure.
No kidding.
I mean, you'll have roughly, 80,000 people that will rotate through the greater PDX area. And guys will drive from Montana, Idaho, down south. So it is a big show. If you guys haven't been to the show, you owe it to yourself to check it out. It's amazing. You'll see all sorts of toys for boys.
Yeah. And for girls. Don't get me wrong.
And for girls.
Trust me on that one. It gets expensive. Trust me. But yeah, I mean, there's everything there. And I've been going to the Sportsman Show since I was literally this big every single year. I'll never forget it, fishing in the trout pond when I was like this big. Trust me, they had fish back then. Do we have fish now? That's the question. Anyway, it's so well worth going. You always get a chance to see the newest stuff that's out there. And sure, you're going to see stuff that you've seen before. But that's why there's so many people that go there, is because they want to have the opportunity to see cool stuff, new stuff if possible, and possibly take something home when you do so. That's one of the questions that we have. I didn't want to obviously use it as a tech tip in our upcoming segment. Was availability of Edge rods. Are they going to be there for sale?
Yes.
So people can pick them up and actually go, okay, bye, and I'm out of here.
Yep. We worked very hard to build up inventory. I know a lot of other manufacturers did too. We're doing new product introductions, but we have been working hard to build up inventory and to have them available at show rates at the show.
Okay.
So it's going to be a little. People always want a little deal at the show, and we love to accommodate. So.
To a crazy end. I get the emails and I see it on the socials. You guys are doing deals on Silver Widows, which is something that on my show, on this set, said, we're never going to give you a deal on a Silver Widow. Are you crazy? But it's that time of year and people are motivated. They want to grab something cool.
Yep. Funny enough, my marketing department arm wrestles with me, and as you know, sometimes if there's a special, that means they won. So,
we like that marketing department.
If you guys do come over to the show, say hello. Gary will be there Wednesday and Saturday. He'll sign a hat for you. We'll have a whole bunch of goodies for you. We're bringing what we have at the factory, at the pro shop too, and we just love to have you guys and just celebrate with us.
That's awesome. You're going to have several of my sponsors there.
Yep.
You got Hawk and Fishing that'll be there. You also got Brad's, of course, and others.
Absolutely. Yep.
We'll
have
there.
Pro Gear there. We'll have Northwest Bait and Scent. So.
Yeah.
Everything that we use in the Pacific Northwest to fish, we try to have it represented. So.
Well, and I think another great question from one of our viewers once we posted this up on Facebook that we were going to have you in. It's not that you have a system up at your pro shop, but it's not always something where you can walk into your location in Woodland, which you can't miss everyone. Easy to find, great people. We've got multiple comments on our Facebook page saying the same thing. When folks went in, they had questions. Because when you're looking at a giant rack of rods that, you initially look at them, if there's no sort of special deal on them, you're looking at, again, one of the world's best rods. They're all handmade. These reels, these rod handles these are handmade. This is not just buying an off-the-rack rod, right? So people ask a lot of questions. Everyone is super positive with how they get their help when they come in and see you, right? Which is a big deal for all of us. We want to be able to make the right decision when you're really buying a high-end rod. But the obvious question always comes up, and I know that you get it a lot. If I go in, the rod I want isn't there.
Yeah.
How long does it take? Is there actually an answer that you could give? How long would it take for that rod to get into someone's hand?
So right now, the factory's running it right at about a 3 to 5 week lead time. We have built up inventory for the show. I know that a lot of it will disappear as soon as we show up to the show.
Sure.
But there's good news. we are opening up a facility in Texas. Grand opening is at the end of March. We'll do a live stream and we'll share all the good news.
Cool.
So we're trying to segment rods that are so all the blanks are manufactured in Woodland, but the assembly of rods, Pacific Northwest, will probably happen in Woodland and Mass, so we can catch up, and then the bass rods and the one-piece rods will happen in the Texas facility. So we're trying to accommodate and grow as fast as we can, and we're just humbled and thankful for everybody's patience. And
well, for a second, I'm like, well, now how in the heck are you going to do that? I get it, right? Because a lot of Edge's business is that bass fishery, right? All over the country, all over the world, for crying out loud. Bass fishing is number one, is king for a reason. That does slow down what your production would be on something what we would use here.
Absolutely. Okay. And we've been fighting it. You know, we're up to 80 some people now. We started with 6.
Right.
The only thing that we can do is train more, grow more, and then we just finally said, look, we're going to open up a facility in Texas, assemble bass and one-piece rods there, make the blanks in the U.S., ship them over there, but make the Pacific Northwest stuff in the factory in Washington, where people can still walk in and tour and do all of that. So.
Which I thought was really cool. I've only had a chance to go up there once, and what really kind of took me back, one, is I've literally, and I've talked about this for many years, right, about edge rods and how it was kind of one of those things where I had to put tape over everything and kind of hide them for different reasons, as y'all, well, some of you are aware of it and some of you just don't get it. But one of the things that gravitated me very first to your rods many years ago now with this 10 to 20, my good friend Fish Killer out there who might be watching, he says he doesn't watch, turned us all onto these rods, right?
Thank you, by the way.
I'm telling you. But I was so impressed by the rod handle, right? It's just, one, it looked cool. But number two, when I went to your facility, seeing how one individual hand lays this and wraps this by hand, one at a time. Takes so much time to get it done the right way. And now the silver widow, of course, being out there is just that other, I mean, they're just beautiful.
Yeah.
The whole rod is. I mean, you get to a point to where you start thinking, okay, well, how much prettier can a rod get? And then this hits the market. Is there a rod line that might be more popular than the other when you're talking about salmon and steelhead rods for us here in the Northwest?
Yep.
Is the Silver Widow, the Black Widow, the 360, where in your business, where you guys are at now, which one of those are harder to keep in stock?
So for the first time in the history of our company, the 360 rods became the #1 seller, toppling bass last year. Oh, and we were all shocked, right? Bass, and bass is usually the king by a mile.
Oh, yeah.
For the first time ever, 360 rods reigned supreme. And you could say salmon returns, you could argue price. I'd like to say it's because we make one of the best rods available, but for the first time in 10 years, it's hard to say, you know, history of Gary and Loomis, but for our company, the salmon and steelhead rods, specifically salmon 360 trolling, became the #1 rod.
That's amazing.
And that was the 10.5 1064 360 Pro.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So would that be the most difficult one to get your hands on?
It's very popular, so we build a lot of them. Okay. It is a longer lead time on that one, probably about 2 months from now. We are bringing them to the show. We will have probably close to 400 available.
Right.
We'll try to make sure that they last throughout the weekend. So.
Well, that doesn't mean it's going to stop you from buying. Let's just get that straight. But if you actually go to the show and you're actually able to put your hands on an edge rod and it's physically in front of you, and you might be on the fence, I would not argue with you, right? You're going to see countless rods that are at the show that are going to be in significantly different price ranges. But what you need to understand is if you're a lot like me, right? You like to have something that's very, very comfortable that you can use all day. Doesn't matter if it's a 360 rod or a steelhead rod. If you can actually put that edge rod in your hand, buy it. Honestly, because it's very difficult sometimes, not always.
Yep.
Very difficult to get the specific rod that you want, but if you can do it, take advantage of it. And if they're going to give you a free hat at the same time,
we own up to it. We need to do better in terms of fulfillment and delivery. It takes time to train people. The labor market is difficult in terms of folks that want to work in factories to make that their career. But honestly, the community has just loved on us so much. We're just thankful for the business and the opportunity to make rods for people. It's the only thing that we can say is thanks, and if you come to the show and say hello, we'll thank you in person and make sure it's worth your
Very
time,
cool.
So.
And you'll see him at the show. He's not one of those folks that isn't going to be around. You'll see Aleks right there in the booth talking with folks the whole time. All right, I've gone too long. We're going to cut to break. When we come back, we've got your Chevy Silverado Tech Tip of the Week. The main question was how to clean one of these high-end rods without hurting it. Believe it or not, that's a very good question. We'll be right back.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Chevy Silverado and the impressive new Turbo Max engine. Flex your muscle with the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. Official truck of Outdoor GPS.